Welcome, everyone. Today's story is not just about a company. It's about an idea. An idea that was born out of frustration, rejection, and failure. It's about two people who were not tech gods, not billionaires, not famous when they started. They were just two normal human beings, with one small question in their minds. Why can't watching movies be easier? Why do people still suffer for renting entertainment? This simple frustration turned into a quiet revolution. This quiet revolution destroyed Blockbuster, one of the biggest movie companies in the world. And from that destruction, a new empire was born: Netflix. In this video, we are going deep, very deep, into the full, real, and detailed story of Netflix. We will cover everything: how it started with a $40 late fee, how people laughed at the idea, how the founders were rejected and insulted, how they nearly went bankrupt, how they offered their company to Blockbuster and were humiliated, how they came back with a silent plan that destroyed the giant, and how they became one of the most powerful companies on Earth, changing the way the entire world watches movies. This is not just a business story. This is a story of revenge without violence, obsession without fame, building in silence while everyone doubted you, turning rejection into motivation, outsmarting those who once laughed at you. So if you're someone who has ever been told, your idea is stupid, you can't do this, no one cares what you're building, then stay with me, because this story is going to prove something powerful to you. You don't need to be loud to win. You just need to be consistent, patient, and quietly obsessed. This story isn't just for motivation. It's also great for your English. You'll hear real vocabulary about business, risk, emotion, and success in easy and clear English. You'll learn how to understand big ideas like rejection, obsession, growth, innovation, mindset. Every sentence in this story is written to help you improve listening skills, learn sentence structure, build confidence in understanding English naturally. And because it's told like a movie, you'll stay engaged, and that helps your brain remember English longer. So if you're learning English, this story will help you grow fast, without feeling like you're studying. Now, let's begin the full journey. Here is part 1 of the true, detailed, and powerful story of Netflix. Part 1. The $40 mistake that started a revolution. In 1997, a man named Reed Hastings returned a rented movie to Blockbuster, the most powerful video rental company in America at the time. But he was late, and Blockbuster charged him $40 in late fees. Now imagine this. Reed was not poor. He had money. He was a software engineer. He was educated. But that one late fee made him angry in a way no one expected. He thought, "Why am I paying a fine for entertainment? This doesn't feel fair." He didn't forget the movie. He wasn't irresponsible. He was just busy, like most people. But Blockbuster didn't care. That $40 fine planted a seed in Reed Hastings' mind. A seed made of frustration, curiosity, and a quiet whisper that said, there has to be a better way. At that time, Blockbuster was a giant. They had more than 9,000 stores all over the world. People lined up to rent VHS tapes and DVDs. But their system was old, frustrating, and unfair. You had to go to the store physically, pick a DVD, remember to return it within a few days. And if you forgot, you were punished with a late fee, sometimes more than the cost of the movie itself. And Reed thought, what if people didn't have to go to the store? What if people could choose movies from home? What if there were no late fees at all? Now pause for a second. This is very important. Millions of people had this same frustration, but they just complained and moved on. Reed did something different. He turned frustration into fuel. Reed had a friend and business partner named Mark Randolph. He wasn't a billionaire. He didn't come from a rich family. He was just a dreamer who loved ideas, storytelling, and entrepreneurship. One day, Reed walked into Mark's office and said, "What if we create a service that lets people rent movies? By mail?" Mark was confused. Mail? Like people order a movie and we ship it to them? Reed nodded. Yes, and no late fees, and they can keep it as long as they want. That moment, in a simple office with zero investors, zero team, zero technology, was the birth of Netflix. They didn't have a plan. They didn't have a product, but they had a vision. Make renting movies fair, easy, and modern. Before launching anything, they decided to do a test. They took a CD, not even a movie DVD, just a music CD. They put it inside a small envelope. They wrote an address. They dropped it in the mailbox. Then, they waited. Would it break? Would it arrive? Would it get lost? A few days later, the CD arrived. Perfectly. That one moment told them, it's possible. We can do this. The first version of Netflix, 1997. They built a small website. It had a few movies listed. Very basic design. Users could go online, click a movie, and get it by mail. There were no ads, no streaming, no big studios behind them. Just two men, a few employees, and a vision. They named it Netflix, a combination of internet and flicks, slang for movies. It was simple, strange, and new. People didn't trust it at first. Why would I rent a movie from a website? I already have Blockbuster. But Netflix didn't stop. They knew something Blockbuster didn't. The future is not about punishment. It's about freedom. In 1999, Netflix made a bold move. They introduced a monthly subscription plan. Instead of paying per movie, users could pay a small monthly fee, rent as many movies as they wanted, keep them as long as they liked, and return them when they were ready. No late fees. It was unheard of. Nobody in the video industry was doing this. But it solved a huge problem. And slowly, the world started to listen. At this stage, Blockbuster was still laughing. They were making billions from late fees. They thought Netflix was a toy, a joke. But Netflix was growing, not loudly, not quickly, but quietly, one customer at a time. People who tried it loved it, because it was simple, kind, and modern. And this quiet storm was about to become a massive wave. By the year 2000, Netflix was growing, but very slowly. They had a loyal base of customers who loved the subscription model. They were sending DVDs by mail every day. People appreciated the no late fees, the freedom, and the comfort of choosing movies from home. But behind the scenes, Netflix was bleeding money. They were spending more than they were earning. They had warehouses to manage. They had to pay for shipping, employees, servers, customer service. But they weren't profitable. They were losing millions of dollars. He knew Netflix was doing something great. He believed the world would change. But time was running out. They had no backup if they failed, and no one wanted to invest. So one day, Reed made a bold decision. He walked into Mark Randolph's office and said, "Let's offer to sell Netflix." Mark was surprised. "To who?" Reed replied. "To the giant, to Blockbuster."